Greetings, thespians! It's Tuesday. So, another week, another video. I've been setting up a SoundCloud in the vain hope of maybe using that as sort of a dumping ground for all of the little audio clips I record. If there's anything I want to keep, I can put it up on there so I have a record of it and people can go and have a look at it if they like. I've just got my my audio reel up there at the moment, but there might be other things in the future, who knows. Mary, about your question about what would we put in our theatre if we were designing it. I am aware that my experience at Signet is probably colouring this somewhat, but I think something that's often overlooked in theatres is proper air conditioning and ventilation. There were many times, not just in Signet but in other bigger theatres, where I've seen people really struggling to stay awake and follow the show, not because it's not a good show, but because it's so oppressively warm in there with all of the people packed in and the lights and everything that there's just no oxygen in there and people are just going... You get my drift. So yeah, I put some ventilation and air conditioning in there, both of which would have to necessarily be silent, like absolutely silent, because you don't want it interfering with anything that you put on in there. I think in terms of what I would do with the building as such, I mean, if I was going to design a theatre from the ground upward, I'd probably do something a little bit like the Roman amphitheatres, where you can be centre stage and whispering something and they'll still hear you right at the back. Although with more modern theatres and adapting already existing buildings into one, I think probably the best thing to do now would be to have a stage that's thrust, because that gives you options. You can do proper end-on stuff, you can do stuff in traverse if you want, you can even to a certain extent experiment with putting things in the round, but if you have a traditional kind of cross arch type theatre, that basically just means that that's the format that you're stuck to, which might not be a problem if that's the sort of show you want to do, but if you want to do something that's a little bit more interactive and dynamic, then maybe it might work against you, who knows. Mark, you and I should talk about Brecht at some point, because I personally found myself kind of going more towards his style of theatre as a reaction to Stanislavski when I first discovered him. But this is a conversation that we probably should save for another time and not bore the pants off everyone else. Kevin, I hope all is going well, and I was thinking the other day, I haven't actually seen a video of you performing yet. I know it's probably very difficult with the kind of things you're involved with at the moment, but if you do have anything out there that you wouldn't mind sharing, I'm just curious. I'd like to see something from you. Hope the show prep's going very well, Kelly, and that all of your accommodation and transport worked out okay. And I hope that the fact that it's got noticeably chilly here doesn't mean that you're snowed in yet or anything. One of the pieces of advice I've been given for periods like now when I don't have a lot of work to either prepare for or go straight into is to self-produce stuff. And I am in the process of doing that. However, I am curious what the more technical-sided people do when there's not too much around to pass the time. Like, do you focus more on the design aspects and the concepts and things like that for potential places you might work? I'd be interested to know about all that anyway. Also, just before I sign off, we should see if we can try and organise a time to have a Google Plus hangout, if that is at all possible in the near future. Alright, take care guys, and Mary, I'll see you tomorrow.